Have you ever wondered why a kid can memorize every single character, weapon, and complex plot point in a video game, but struggles to remember a few simple dates for a history test? Today, we're going to crack open the student brain with some amazing insights from cognitive scientist Daniel Willingham's book.
I mean, we've all seen this, right? At home, they are the absolute masters of these huge, sprawling universes. But in the classroom, something as simple as memorizing a few facts feels like pulling teeth. It's just this punishing, boring task.
And this gap is it's baffling. You see what they're capable of, that intense focus, that ability to just soak up information. So what's the deal? Are they just being lazy? Are they just not interested in what we're trying to teach them?
Well, the book offers a really surprising answer. The problem isn't laziness, and it's not the student's fault. The real issue is that the way we often teach works against the brain's natural design, not with it.
So what is this fundamental principle that we're all missing? It's a paradox that changes everything. Our brains, the very organs that we praise for their power of thought, are actually designed to avoid thinking whenever they possibly can. And this core idea from the book really explains why. Thinking is hard. It is slow, it is effortful, and it burns a ton of mental energy. So our brain, by default, takes the easy way out. It treats deep thought as a last resort, something it'll only do if the conditions are just right.
So if it's not thinking, what is the brain doing? Mostly, it's scanning its memory. When you face a new problem, its first question is always, hey, have I solved something kind of like this before? And if the answer is yes, it just pulls that solution from memory. It's way faster and a whole lot more efficient.
But here's the key. While the brain hates the struggle of thinking, it absolutely loves the feeling of successful thought. You know that little dopamine hit you get when you finally crack a puzzle that's tough but not impossible? That is the sweet spot, and that's the feeling we need to create in the classroom.
Okay, to really get why thinking can feel like such a slog, we need to pop the hood and look at the brain's machinery, and specifically its single biggest limitation.
Let me introduce you to your working memory. Think of it as your conscious mind. It's the mental space where you're actively juggling new information. The book calls it the fundamental bottleneck of human cognition for one very simple reason. It is incredibly, incredibly small.
Here, let's try it. Try to hold these 6 letters in your head right now. C-B-S-I-C-I. It's kind of a strain, isn't it? When you try to hold too many separate, disconnected pieces of information like this, your thinking process just gets overloaded and basically shuts down.
So how do experts do it? How do they think about so much complex stuff all at once? They don't have bigger working memories. Nope. They use a powerful mental shortcut called chunking.
So if you have the background knowledge to recognize those letters, CBS isn't 3 random items anymore. It becomes one single idea, the TV network, CBS. Your brain just combines them, and bam, all of a sudden your tiny mental workbench has a lot more room to think.
But this ability to chunk, it's not some kind of magic trick. It comes directly from the factual knowledge a student has already packed away in their long-term memory. If you don't know what CBS is, you just can't chunk those letters. Knowledge is what makes skillful thinking even possible.
And this creates this amazing upward spiral. Knowledge isn't just something to think about, it's the very thing that helps you think better. The book uses this fantastic analogy. Knowledge acts like mental Velcro. The more hooks you have in your brain, the more new information can grab on and stick. This means students who know more actually learn more, and they learn it faster.
Okay, so knowing all this about how the brain is actually wired, what can we, as parents, as teachers, what can we do to create the right conditions for thinking? Well, the book gives us a really clear, actionable plan.
The first strategy is to work with the brain's natural tendencies, not fight against them. So instead of just throwing out dry, disconnected facts, we can package information in a format the human brain is literally hardwired to pay attention to: a good story.
You know, every good story has a predictable structure. So if you organize a lesson around these 4 elements, cause and effect, a central problem, a few obstacles, and characters, you totally transform the material. It stops being a list of facts to memorize, and it becomes this compelling puzzle that students will naturally want to solve.
Now, the second strategy asks us to completely rethink why we do practice. This isn't about those mind-numbing drills. It's about something way more strategic and way more important for higher-level thinking.
The real goal of practice is to make those basic skills, like multiplication tables or grammar rules, so automatic that they don't take up any room on that tiny little workbench in your brain. When you automate the basics, you free up all this precious mental real estate, and that allows students to tackle the complex, interesting, strategic problems that make learning feel exciting.
You know, if you only take one single thing away from this book, let it be this simple, powerful sentence: memory is the residue of thought. What our students spend their time actively thinking about is literally what they will end up remembering.
And this is the final challenge the book leaves us with. It completely reframes our role. We're not just dispensers of information, we are architects of curiosity, and we're tasked with one profound question: what will we design for our students to think about tomorrow?